And now we are prepping for the phone call of the band Mile Marker Zero, who have a gig coming up at the New Jersey Prog House, because nothing says bluegrass as the New Jersey Prog House. This is a great, great CD I've been listening to, and these guys are really kind of bringing it. So, let's check this out. This is Mile Marker Zero from Connecticut. Brand new music. This is The Architect here. WUSB.
Everything is broken, and we turn to all that we can change.
Simple one. Think that it happened.
And, you know what? I just, it did exactly what I said it was going to do. Hello. Is this Mile Marker Zero?
This is.
All right, you know what happened? Your bandmate called into the other line, and you got dropped off. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you call me back in 10 minutes, okay? And I'm going to do you guys one at a time.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
All right, sorry. Let's do this live on the air.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. You remember I was talking to you off the air. It happened exactly like I said it was going to happen. Your buddy called in. and
then one gets dropped off. One gets put on. It's one of those things.
So it's either me, or it's the equipment. I'm not sure because I've asked how to do this. Well, you know what?
Let's just blame it on a technical
This is not important. What's important is Mile Marker Zero. So Ann Rinaldi, the world's greatest band promoter, hooked up with you guys. I heard you guys did a killer show at Rites of Spring. You were the band that everyone was talking about. You know what? Before we get into the thick of it, talk about that Rites of Spring gig down in Florida. I mean, what was that like for you?
Oh man! Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Phil. That Rozfest was absolutely incredible. We got asked from the promoter George to come and play originally on the Saturday, and we were going to have a slot that he sort of created for us in the morning. And we said, "Oh yeah, we'd love to come down. That would be great." We knew a lot of great bands that were going to be already on the bill, so it was amazing. And about a couple of weeks before we went on, it turned out that one of the bands who was from France, who was supposed to play right before the headliner Riverside on Sunday, got they couldn't get their visa. So he asked us if we would like to open for Riverside. And we were like, yes. So first of all, we were on at the most amazing slot you could have.
So you're opening for Riverside.
For Riverside.
Whose music I'm playing in the background right now there, here, I'll bring it up a little bit.
Sure.
You know, that's that album they did with just the music tracks and no vocals.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But so you're open for those guys. Wow.
Yeah. And it was it was a beautiful theater, and this is George's first time doing it in Florida. It's normally been in Pennsylvania. It was the Sarasota Opera House, and we could not have gotten a better reception. We played tracks from our latest album, The Fifth Row, which is a concept album, and it really seemed to connect with the audience, and it was incredible. It was definitely a highlight of our career for sure.
So, Mile Marker Zero, I had been meaning to listen to you guys' stuff for a while, and I never got around to it. And even though I heard about the great gig at Rites of Spring Festival, but now you are having a show Tuesday, August 20th at the New Jersey Prog House at Roxy and Duke's in Dunellen, New Jersey. Is that an afternoon or a nighttime show?
It's a nighttime show. Doors are at 7:30.
And you're playing with the theremin player who I think Shang Ung is their name. I can't say her name right.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, it's very cool. I love the theremin.
Yeah, I've seen her before. She's brilliant. And then the Galactic Cowboy Orchestra.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be great.
So it's going to be a really, really great show. Tell me a little bit about how this whole Mile Marker Zero thing got started. Ann was telling me you guys have been together since 2005.
Yeah, absolutely. big core of the band actually went to middle school and high school together. We're from Connecticut, and they had played in various groups together for a long time. And I met the rest of the guys when we all went to college together. And we sort of immediately had this kinship. We all loved progressive rock music and all sorts of other things that we shared. And I ended up being friends with everybody from MMZ way before I joined the band. They had a couple little iterations, and they had a different guitar player when they first started. And we put heads together in 2005 and have been going ever since. It's pretty amazing to think that a core group like that has been together for so long, and we're continuing to push boundaries and put out the best possible material and play live as much as possible.
The thing I liked about, especially at the end here, when I was having a meltdown with the phone, your track ends really, it's really designed to keep on going, but to track 4 from the Architect, which I was playing. But what I like was that you're bringing in all these sound bites from around the world. In fact, the Architect ends with a quote from George W. Bush. Was it difficult to get him into the studio?
His fee is pretty high, so it was a lot of negotiation. But now those are all found clips, obviously. But yeah, the story of this album really got started when we were talking about how you're hearing these world leaders meeting at this summit, and like these thought leaders, people like Elon Musk and Sam Harris and all these crazy, really smart techie types saying we have to really be careful about what is going on technologically, the whole Terminator scenario, or Matrix or what have you. And we were talking about this naturally as rehearsals would go on, and my singer Dave and I would be talking about this stuff, saying, oh man, that's crazy. You hear about Google doing this and that. And we just sort of happened to say, this is perfect fodder for an album, for a progressive rock concept album that we've been talking about doing forever, because we never put out a concept album before. And what better heritage, because progressive rock has always talked about technology and things like that, and the modern day and the plight of people, and we figured this would really be the perfect thing. So along with that, we obviously pulled quotes and things from people who have had either a direct influence on this kind of thing or thought leaders in this area to really sort of set the ominous tone for a lot of the album.
I love how the beginning of the album, I believe the track is Source Code, starts out, and I was grabbing all the nerd quotes. So you have the original and the best, Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, absolutely.
You have the Terminator. Yeah, I'm trying to remember who else you had. It was definitely the Terminator. Now the rest I'm forgetting. You didn't have any from Star Wars or Star Trek. I would have hit those right away.
No.
What were the other ones that were the other science fiction sort of things that were inspiring you guys?
Oh well, we are big fans of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That's the one you had. You had some of that, yes.
Yeah, we're fans of all that. We like science fiction a lot, but the thing about this album is, we didn't take, like you said, from Star Wars or Star Trek, because we actually wanted to take as many things as possible from real world sources. Now, there's obviously the Terminator is not a real world source, but it is something that is unfortunately a potential outcome for we're trying to hedge against, right, and to have not happen. We don't want a rise of the machines. So, this is one of those things where we had to be very judicious about, what is it that we're actually trying to say about this. And if you listen to the Source Code intro, it's all in chronological order from the very first radio broadcast ever captured, back in the 1915, something like that, and then all the way to present day. And our story for the album starts right after the Twin Towers attack.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really it's pushed all my nerd buttons, but it also is like a very socially responsible sort of thing as well. Very high energy sound you got going there too. It's really nice. I think what was the track I was really grooving on? I'll play it once we're off, because I could probably play a couple more tracks. I think it was. You know what it was? You know what I liked? I liked Digital Warrior, which is track 3, The Architect, which is track 4, which I played and putting you on, so our listeners heard that, and then Building a Machine. So it's really great. When you do the show in Roxy and Dukes, are you going to be playing this entire album from beginning to end? Is this going to be like a whole performance sort of thing?
No, we're not. Well, we're going to be playing a lot off this album. We're not going to do the full album. We've only actually done the full album straight through a handful of times, and some of that is due to time constraints, because it's about an hour and 7 minutes to do it just as is on the album, and that's usually a little bit long for a normal set. What we're going to do this time is we're going to play a bunch of things from the Fifth Row, but we're also going to reach back into our back catalog, because we've had a bunch of people who have been following us for a long time, even back in like 2006, 2007, have said to us recently, "Hey, we love the Fifth Row, but are you going to play some stuff from The Haunted, which was our first EP, or from our self-titled album?" And we were like, you know what, this is a great chance to do that as well. So we're going to be doing a combination.
Nice. You know what I've been remiss in? I've been remiss in giving out where people can hear your stuff online. What is the URL for Mile Marker Zero?
Yeah, it's milemarkerzero.com. And
that's easy.
Yeah, very easy. And if people use iTunes, we are on there. If they're Spotify people, we're on there. We're on Bandcamp for people who really like to buy physical products. And we've actually been so surprised and overwhelmed and grateful that there's a lot of people who have bought our physical CD and they want it signed, and which is pretty amazing in today's digital world, that people really still do. If they like something, they really want to support it, and they want a physical product. They want to put it on their shelf or display it somewhere. It's pretty amazing.
I think the prog audience likes the physical media, and it's kind of, I remember like being at Roxy and Dukes, and someone was like handing out like download cards, and I was like, I don't do download cards. I want a CD.
You want the actual thing? Yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, I feel like almost everybody nowadays is sort of a hybrid. Like I hear from a lot of people, they'll hear maybe a new band or something that they haven't heard on a streaming service, and then they'll go, and if they like the band, they'll buy the record from them, which is great. Any way your music gets out there, I'm totally supportive of.
So I'm gonna bring on who was the other member that was calling before that I rudely cut off?
That's Jaco. Please.
So Jaco, we got to get Jaco on. So I think what I'm going to do, because I'm not seeing a 3:00 DJ here, is, and he's calling back right now. So I'm going to ignore him, because otherwise I'm going to end up cutting you off.
Cutting me off, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to wrap it up with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, and then play one more track. And while I'm in that track, I'll bring Jaco on. But
that's great.
I think I'd like to do Building a Machine afterwards. So does that work for you? Is that
yeah, absolutely.
Because these couple of early, these couple of first tracks I really was liking. Oh wait, there's one more thing we have to talk about.
Sure.
That The Architect is in a video game.
Yeah, we're going to be in NASCAR Heat 4 for iOS devices. It's pretty amazing. We were back in the day. You remember Rock Band, the video game?
Yeah, I hated it. I really hated it.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. We're all terrible at playing it, especially me. And the reason that's kind of funny is that we actually were the first unsigned band to be on the Rock Band video game. They asked us if they could use our music. So we actually have a little bit of a history of this, of being in video games, which is so cool. We're all pretty much, all of us, except for maybe Mark, my keyboard player, like avid video gamers. And to be included on a really cool NASCAR game is just awesome. But the irony is Mark doesn't play video games, but his son has played the entire series of NASCAR Heat. So when Mark told his son, he was like, "Hey, guess what? MMZ is going to be in this video game." His mind was blown. So
it's a
really,
NASCAR
really cool.
game. Are you afraid that this video game is going to cause people to drive fast? I mean, isn't there a danger that video games cause people to drive
Well,
fast?
I think if people are going to want to drive fast, they'll do it no matter whether it's a video game or not. But maybe The Architect is a good song to go fast to, within within legal limits.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, present terrible events have brought like video games back into the front as the scapegoat yet again.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm looking at this like they're in a video game. It's like, oh, but yeah, it's a crazy world. I mean,
It is.
There's tons of material out there for you guys right now. Are you planning on incorporating any of the current situations in a future album?
I think that there's a distinct possibility if it moves us to do such a thing. We're very organic in the way that we approach songwriting and approach dealing with topics. We didn't really start out to do a story about AI on the fifth row. It sort of happened that we were already talking about it. It's just something that's been on our minds. It's something that's current. So if indeed that comes up as we're writing our next album, then yeah, maybe there'll be some stuff like that.
That's great. Well, you know what I'm going to do is because we're swapping out the phones here, I'm going to queue up "Building a Machine," and that track, and the next DJ is not here. So I'm going to just keep going, and what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to have the luxury of just play the track through, and then your bandmate, Jaco, if he could call, just like he's been doing dutifully, and I apologize, if he could call directly at 3 o'clock, I'll put him straight through the board. So if you could just message him for me and say, call Captain Phil at 3, and when I see when I see you guys on Tuesday at Roxy and Diggs, I was like, oh, sorry, this was like a last minute thing.
Not a problem, man. Listen. This is why we write about technology. It's not always our friend.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's operator error too.
That's part of it.
But no, I'm digging the album. So glad I had this extra time today to do this, and because with Ann and everybody, we've been promoting the Prague Stock Festival, of course, and I'm like saying, well, these guys have a show coming up at Roxy and Dukes. I should have them on. It's like, let's do that.
Listen, I really appreciate it. We anybody who puts the time in, the dedication to talk about MMZ, we really are very appreciative. And so thank you.
And you guys are close by. You're Connecticut-based, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So you probably are, doing shows in the area, or people in the tri-state area. So
yeah.
Everything
we're
is
playing
close
a lot
by.
of stuff. Yeah, we're trying to expand a bit as far as our reach, and we do play a decent amount in the tri-state area. We're actually, this Tuesday obviously is the New Jersey Prague House gig, but for Connecticut people, on the 24th, which is next Saturday, we're playing at the Acoustic in Black Rock, which is in Bridgeport, we're booking out for the rest of the year.
Our signal goes to Bridgeport, so
awesome.
we skip across the sound, So
that's
fantastic. Thank you so much, my friend. Please talk up for me.
Thank you, Phil.
Mile Marker Zero, Building a Machine. What is this tune about? Give me a little bit, and I'm going to cue it up and then tell Jaco to call me at 3.
Sure. This track is in the middle of the first half of our new record, The Fifth Row. And Building a Machine is in response to this is the people's response to trying to keep us safe from attacks and things. And so basically the citizens of the U.S. say, you need to build something to make sure this never happens again. And this is this song is sort of the process as to how it's put together.
Awesome. And here is Building a Machine, Mile Marker Zero. And then we will be talking to Jaco from Mile Marker Zero in about 5 minutes. And, of course, you can see them in person at Roxy and Deuce at the New Jersey Prog House, Dunedin, New Jersey. Not that far a drive from here, boys and girls. You could make it. It would be a great Tuesday night. It's a great place to be. Thank you so much, my friend, Mile Marker Zero. And we will continue into the 3 o'clock hour. WUSB Stony Brook. Bluegrass time is over. We had a whole bluegrass thing going on before, and bluegrass time is over, and now, but that's okay, man, because the dude who's running the Bluegrass Festival is also the electric mandolin player for Frog Cafe, so we're all related, so it's all one big happy family. Here's Jaco from Mile Marker Zero. I apologize, I was having difficulty doing two things at the same time.
No worries.
Some days it's hard to do one thing at a time. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's pretty much every day.
Oh, man. So I just played Building a Machine, and I love this, especially. Was that Stephen Hawking at the end there?
No, man, that was just like a bot automator that we found online that we wanted, because we tried out a whole bunch of things that the machine might say upon awakening. And that was what we came to. But yeah, we punched in a bunch of different sentences. It's a pretty cool thing. I can't remember where we got it. It was some free online software though.
Oh, it's cool. I just like that. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. There was a UK band who sadly is gone now, called Tiny Fish. And Tiny Fish did an album called The Big Red Spark, and it was kind of like it was kind of a steampunk Lovecraftian thing where some evil thing is breaking into our universe and turning humanity into like components of this great machine.
It's amazing.
And they're building and stuff.
It.
And they would do the dialogue in between, but when they played it Rites of Spring, like you guys played it Rites of Spring, so that's why we know it's good, because anybody who's good plays it Rites of Spring. But but the guy who was the narrator would come out in full steampunk regalia. So it was like this horrible thing was happening like to the world in the 1920s. It was just like this whole Lovecraft vibe to it,
yeah, right on.
So it's just so cool, and this is giving me a little bit of the same vibe, but of course in the modern 21st setting, with all the sound bites of the different political people, and of course, and I just love the Planet of the Apes, in the beginning. So tell me a little about your role in the band Mile Marker Zero, Jaco.
Oh yeah, well I'm the new guy. I mean new to the band, but I've known these guys forever and ever. But I was the replacement on bass for the great Tim Rykowski, who was the former bass player. And so I've been in the band probably about 3 years now. Actually going on 4, something like that. Yeah. So 4 years actually. Holy cow, it goes by fast. Yeah. So I'm the newest member, and I play bass and do some backup singing, some backup keyboards, and things like that.
And what's your role in the creative process? Were you fully involved in the creation of this album?
Oh yeah, well, a lot of the tunes when I joined, a lot of the songs had already been somewhat skeletonized, which is a word I just made up. Like the form of it had been sort of already negotiated, but I was able to come in and add some flair and influence when it was required. But it's been pretty open like that, where I get to chime in when I need to and things like that. Nice.
And I mean, we were discussing John. I was discussing with John. I actually at the beginning, because it was a perfect storm. I lost my internet connection, so I couldn't even message Ann Rinaldi or anybody, and and then the phones were going at the same time. And I had a dude playing bluegrass music 5 minutes beforehand, who's promoting the Long Island Bluegrass Festival. So so it was probably bluegrass is what caused all the problems, because I believe Todd was probably playing songs that incanted some ancient curse.
It's likely.
Yeah, that's that, because it is bluegrass, and so Todd's gonna get me tomorrow. But What was it like for you? I already talked to John about this. Being on stage at one of the premier progressive rock festivals in the world, the Rites of Spring Festival. What was that like, hitting that stage, man?
Oh man, that was great. The whole weekend was just fantastic, and so many things. To talk about just the community alone right off the bat, it's like you just didn't even know like this many people were listening to progressive music, which was really amazing. I mean, just so many people really interested in the art of progressive rock, as opposed to just maybe the flash, if you will, that prog tends to bring. But all the fan base, the community, the whole festival was run so well. But then, yeah, like you said, when you get on that stage and everybody's just so warm and welcoming and really into what you're trying to do as artists, it was pretty incredible.
And you have a really nice gig coming up in Dunellen, New Jersey, on Tuesday, August 20th. A co-bill with the Galactic Cowboy Orchestra, and I have seen the Galactic Cowboy Orchestra. Those guys are hardcore. They're really, really a great band. And then a theremin performer as well, who's I think her name is Shane. I'm messing it up. Shane, you go on the website NewJerseyProghouse.com or .org and look it all up. But that show is happening there. So I'm really psyched about that. Where are you in the lineup for that night? Are you the closers? Are you the openers? Are you in the middle?
We're at the end. We're going to close the show out. I think in terms of our aggressive style, it's going to get loud and it's going to be awesome. But yeah, we're at that last spot. But I believe the show starts around 7.
I think they were saying doors at 7 or 7:30. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But we'll be on at the end.
Those of you
Somewhere
here
around 10.
Those of you here in Suffolk County, New York, WUSB's home headquarters, you can make it to Roxy and Dukes. It's a simple drive. You may have to dedicate a little bit of time to do this, but it's really not that far. It's on the other side of the Outer Ridge Crossing. If cars are moving across the Verrazano Bridge, you can make it over there. And I've done the journey many times from Eastern Long Island, and it was a dedication to do that. But I must tell you, the drive there and the long drive back home again were 100% worth it, because you saw an incredible music that you can't hear anywhere else, in a great listening room, a fantastic listening room. And if you're into the prog scene, you're in a place where everyone's your brother, everyone's your sister. They're all it's like a family reunion. It's really, really a great scene, and I'm so glad you guys are playing that room, man. Tell me about
thanks.
Tell me about the Bridgeport show that's coming up.
Well, that's just a few days later, right? So Tuesday, and then the 24th, we're over at the Acoustic doing another prog night, which is great. And that's in right there in Black Rock in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I forgot, is it Fairfield Ave? I think it's on. Right there, it's on the Fairfield Bridgeport line, and that's another earlier show. It's going to start around 7:30, and we'll be hitting the stage around 9 in the middle of 4 bands. So it's going to be a good night there too.
How close is that venue to the ferry?
Minutes, man. 10 minutes.
So if somebody just came across on the ferry on foot and wanted to Uber over there, wouldn't be a big deal, right?
Not at all. Nope, wouldn't be a big deal at all.
Oh yeah, so that might even be an easier gig. I mean, maybe you want to do both. But
come to both.
if these guys hit it out of the park for you in New Jersey, and let's face it, everything is awesome in New Jersey, and on Long Island too. You might want to check these guys out again. You know what? I didn't attend Rites of Spring. It was too much. Now that it moved away from Pennsylvania, it was too much of a drive for me. But of course, I've read all the reports, and this is this, and that was that. And the one thing that was coming out of the weekend was, who are these guys? Mile Marker Zero.
Oh, wow.
And it was a great buzz you guys had going on, and I was just so impressed with that. Did you feel the love at Rites of Spring?
Oh man, it was incredible. It was great. Got standing ovation, which I know that those go around pretty commonly, but it was still nice to get that. But what the coolest part was, after the night's over, the last band played, Riverside played, and then so it's now we're talking 11 o'clock at night. We had just finished watching Riverside. We're walking back to the hotel, we're going into the hotel lobby where a bunch of the Ross people were attending, and they gave us another round of applause and standing ovation while about 25, 30 people in the lobby. So it was really incredible. We were just like, whoa, like, because progressive rock is one of those kinds of musics that you don't really, it's not fully appreciated by the masses. So so when you're playing a local show, in Bridgeport or anywhere, you're going to get your hardcore prog fans, and we're so appreciative of all the people that come out to see us anytime. I mean, we're not trying to scale that down at all. But when it's a larger response like that, of course you can't help but feel overwhelmed. I mean, we're human, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I was a loyal attendee of Rites of Spring for years, and I would see bands from Europe or from all over the world, and they would be on stage, and they would just be like gobsmacked at the response because they were used to playing for an audience of 15 or something,
Exactly.
And here it is, because it's like a magnetic attraction. All the progressive rock fans gather in that one space, thus making wherever these festivals take place the grooviest space on earth for that one
incredible
weekend.
Yeah, and it really is an experience, man. That's the thing. It's like, it's nothing. I remember before I was in MMZ, people would, before I went to see them, I'd ask around like, oh, I heard this new band. This is years and years ago now, but it was always like, oh no, you go to MMZ for the experience, like that was it. And so and I went to the first show, and the first show I went to see before I joined the band was this thing they do. They do we do now, I guess I should say, is a Halloween spectacular. And it's fully immersive. It's like it's got lights, it's got movies. It's an amazing thing. But my overall point is that progressive music in general, specifically MMZ, is definitely an experience that goes way beyond just the records.
Wow. Well, I'm really looking forward to this show at Roxy and Duke's.
Awesome.
I'm psyched about that, man. Fantastic. Let's give the website again for Mile Marker Zero. That would be, I think, milemarkerzero.com, right?
Yeah, milemarkerzero.com.
And we progressive rock fans love the physical media. We love the CDs. We love our 8-track tapes. We love our 78 records.
Yeah, man.
So you could get an actual physical CD through the website.
Yeah, you can get all the merch right through the website, or Bandcamp is another spot that has it. But yeah, the website's working fine. It's probably the best place to go because it's just all universal right there. It's a universal hub. And
for our digital friends who must have things in ones and zeros, you do have a Bandcamp, because I believe Bandcamp is the friendliest of the streamers, right?
Yes, it's friendlier to the artist, I believe.
Yep,
but yeah, it's pretty friendly.
That's what we want to do. We definitely want to do that. Yeah, fantastic. You know what? I'm going to play you out. I think I'm going to play you out. Actually, let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
I was talking to John about the video game. So you're actually going to be the soundtrack of the one song. The architect is going to be on this downloading game, the NASCAR driving game?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, pretty much that's it. I mean, I don't know the NASCAR franchise as well as like Mark's son. Apparently, is like an amazing, loves all the NASCAR games. But I believe while you're playing the game, you have an opportunity to change your radio station. If I might be guessing that, but that would seem like the case. And so will be a track on there that you can listen to while you're, speeding around, going crazy.
All right, let me get this straight. So you're playing now. Is this on a phone? Is this it's like one of these phone games?
Man, I couldn't tell you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm assuming you're younger than me, so then you would know all the games now. Because I'm like, is it anything like Tetris? Because I love Tetris.
Right.
Do you play that game? Da, 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 da.
Yeah, right.
Is that the song you play? But but I'm thinking, okay, so you're driving the car on whatever platform it is, and since my wife got an iPhone, she's like playing these ridiculous games. And I'm like, when did my wife become a gamer?
Right. It's happening. Yeah,
it's like it's crazy, man. But you're driving the car, and you can change the station, and you're in the radio. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, man, that's a full guess on my side, but like I imagine that's how it would work.
Wow.
I'm only basing this on other games that I've played that have like a similar experience where you can like sort of cycle through artists. But if it's not like that, we're going to be featured somewhere in that game.
Okay. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys play the soundtrack to the game Joust on the Atari 7800? Well, that's my era.
I'm a big Joust fan too.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. Yeah, we love the flying
Yeah,
ostriches, you know.
Yeah, we do.
Oh my goodness.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I thank you so much, and also to my good friend Ann Rinaldi, and we also want to mention the Prague Stock Festival, which is happening Columbus Day weekend, which will not be featuring Mile Marker Zero, but maybe at a future show you guys will be there.
Yeah.
And we look forward to that. But in the meantime, you can get this NASCAR video game and play the game, and then you can call me and Jaco and say where we can actually hear the song in the game.
Yeah. Let me know, please. Yeah, thanks.
But it might be easier just to get the CD. And go on milemarkerzero.com and do that, or their Bandcamp, and do all those things and see them live in Bridgeport. You can take the ferry across from Port Jefferson over to Bridgeport, and it's just a quick Uber ride over there, or probably could even walk it. And then, of course, if you want to sit in a car for 17 hours, you can drive over the 90 miles to Roxy and Duke's from Long Island, and just I always pack a change of clothes and some shelter, some water, you know, for the days you spend on the Verrazano Bridge and the Staten Island Expressway, you know. But otherwise, it's a fun drive. It's good. Listen, I'm going to play Digital Warrior. I'm kind of playing things out of sequence here because Ann wanted me to start with The Architect, which is that, you know. But I kind of like this whole trio of things here, and I'm kind of doing everything a little backwards. So I did The Architect, and then I did Building the Machine, but I'm jumping back to track 3 with Digital Warrior. Tell me a little bit about that track, and we'll play you out to that.
Oh, I love Digital Warrior, man. Digital Warrior is as far as the story goes, it's when the government has decided that, you know, they want to take things to the next level and figure out how to sort of avoid some wars and some terrorist attacks. So they need to call somebody to design this AI that's going to help us with this endeavor. So Digital Warrior is in fact that song that takes place. It's from the government's point of view on who to call to and why they need to call this software designer to build an AI.
Beautiful.
Musically, I mean, musically it was a great track to write. That was one that we did. That was one that I was a part of from the beginning. So it's special to me, of course. But it was amazing to write with these guys, just to see how they work, and it was written in the room together as a band. And that's the thing about Mile Marker Zero that's incredible, is it really is a band a la, like, you know, Radiohead or any of these bands that really don't want to exist outside of what the 5 people bring. Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
Like it's not a Lennon McCartney thing where like, here's a tune, let's go to the studio. It's very much like everybody's hands in, and how do we move together as a unit, and so it makes it really special.
You're all Simons and no Garfunkels?
Exactly.
That's a really bad analogy. But no, I understand. I understand the creative process like that, because I mean, when I spoke to Tom Brislin, you know, who is currently working with Kansas now, but he did have this project last summer, The Sea Within, and they were all working, you know, through the phones, you know.
Right.
And then I just love it when everybody's like in the same room, and you have like that connection where you're not only talking to somebody and getting the verbal and that input, but you need the body language. You know, you need to see that. You need to see, you know, the nostrils flaring, you know, the armpits sweating, you know, the hair standing on it, all that stuff, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it, man. I look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday night, man. It's going to be a great show,
too, man.
And
Awesome.
And thank you so much, and thanks for helping out with this few little technological bumps here. But I think we had a good set, man. And this is Digital Warrior on Mile Marker Zero. Take care, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care, man. Bye-bye. Bye.